Hello, this is Alex Lovehole, and welcome back to another podcast episode of Playing Marvel Rivals as a Marvel fan. If you've been on Marvel Rivals at any point in the last, let's say, 2 days, you already know that Deadpool has come out in Marvel Rivals, and honestly, he is a breath of fresh air, and he's honestly a saving grace to me in this game, and a lot of people do not realize. My first reason why, because just purely being biased here, he's one of my favorite Marvel characters, and he has been ever since I think I was first introduced to him in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 game, and then when he was in Hulk Versus, I was like, yep, he's a character, wears red, he's a dude, he's like an assassin ninja kind of character, and he's funny. Boom, he's like Spider-Man with guns. As I grew up and I got older and I experienced more of the character, he's more than that, but and you know, when you're like 10, 12 years old, that's what you're going to start out with. However, I like it when Marvel Rivals puts characters in the game that I actually like before the game came out, rather than they put characters in the game that make me like them as they come out. For example, I'm like probably one of the very few people who knew that Luna Snow was a character before Marvel Rivals, right? Now granted, this game is doing amazing for her PR. However, I knew she was a thing beforehand, just like Magic. I knew she was a character way beforehand. Again, this game is doing magic for her PR, no pun intended. Character like Deadpool. Now, he's probably one of Marvel's most popular characters in this moment, just due to Deadpool, the movies, of course, Deadpool and Wolverine. Honestly, I could just leave it at that. Those two things alone kind of boosted his character, right? But that's besides the point. I'm glad that Deadpool's in the game, and I'm glad that the way he looks is like a combination of a lot of different things. I think the way that he acts, I'm more of a fan of this like serious but a little funny Deadpool, not the woohoo, wacky, fourth wall breaking, super crazy Deadpool that we usually get now. Some of those elements are a little overdone to me. However, the character as a whole is still fine. And the point number 2 as the reason why I like Deadpool is because he can do all 3 roles, right? Because again, I can play all 3 roles. I'm still learning how to be better at all of them, but I usually main DPS and sub tank, and I can kind of play healer. But if you don't want to depend on me to be healer, you should probably pick somebody else. But he is a direct response to people on Twitter and social media saying there's not enough different classes in the game. Now, me personally, I think there are always going to be more duelists than not, because 90% of the Marvel roster could be considered duelists in other games, and maybe 10 to 15% could be considered tanks, and maybe 5% could be considered healers. But the point being is, there's going to be way more duelists just because it's the most popular class, and it's the one that's probably the easiest to design out of all 3. And that leads me into, you know, most people don't want variety in the roles per se, they want variety in what's effective. But I think that's a different podcast episode, right? So with Deadpool, he's a character who can be a strategist, he can be a vanguard, he can be a duelist, right? So if there's a lack of, you know, people playing those roles or a lack of characters, he's a character who was fun as a DPS. He was probably designed as a DPS first, and then they went and tweaked his kit to be all 3, right? He's the first character in the game that can do that, and it really opens up the doors, just like the Lady Loki skin, for them to either go back and rework earlier characters or make characters who are in the future a little bit more multi-class, right? So the fact that Deadpool can be all 3, that means that I have one character who was a fan favorite and a favorite of mine, who can be played in literally DPS, tank, and healer. And if you know how to play all 3 roles, that means you are versatile. So you can be a jack of all trades. You could specialize in 1 or 2 of them. You could switch depending on what the match needs at the moment. It gives a different kind of freedom and a different kind of skill expression that honestly has not been seen in this game yet. And the thing that I noticed is that for one, I like Street Fighter, and I like a lot of different fighting games, not just Street Fighter, and I'm usually a Shoto player, or like a main character guy. That's not the only archetype I play, but that's one of the main ones, and they are really good at being in the middle. Like, they can be offensive, they can be defensive, they have tools that can be in any situation that you need. They're not specialists per se, but they can get the job done no matter what the job requires, and Deadpool is now that character in Marvel Rivals, which is super helpful and super important. Now, something I noticed is that a lot of people were ready to write him off, say he's broken, and start, you know, asking for nerfs immediately, asking for him to get insta-banned, and it kind of confused me, because if players want solutions, right? We want more characters that are in different roles. We give you characters who can play all 3 roles, so your instant reaction is to ban that character so he can't be played. It seems like you don't want a solution, you just want to complain. And then you want characters who are strong on release, but you don't want characters who are weak on release, but you don't want characters who are too strong on release. So now players are finding out, you know, just as I usually do, what is the best, what is the worst, and then they're going to run that because they're trying to win, or they're trying to actually be competitively viable. And again, that's not a Marvel Rivals problem, that's not even a problem in itself, that's just what humans are going to do, especially in video games. So therefore, if Deadpool comes out and he has all 3 roles, and people figuring out what's the best role, what's the best upgrade order, you know, what's the best combo rotation, what's the best, you name it, they're figuring it out. That means that people are not trying to play to experience and play to, you know, just have fun, or play to just have, you know, enjoy the character. They're playing to, you know, understand how to win and how to, you know, I won't use the term min-max, but how to optimize a character and a role, which is fine. It's just that everybody on the internet is going to complain and say how they don't like this, and they don't want characters being buffed, or they don't want characters being nerfed, and I'm kind of losing the plot because that's a whole different video. But the point is, that a lot of people are going to not like the solution that you give them, and furthermore, people are always going to complain or not like the thing they're losing to, or that they don't understand, but they want to be able to use it themselves to win. As a fighting game player, I've seen this many a times. And the third thing that I feel like Deadpool is a breath of fresh air is because he's a character that combines a lot of elements into one, and he also can showcase where this game can go, just like the Lady Loki skin. And it's a nice way to start off the new year, because you got a popular character who's fan favorite, who's designed to be well, and now you have a character who honestly is probably one of the most fun characters in this game to play. Whether you're casual, whether you're competitive, he's very competitively strong depending on the version you pick, and he's just a fun character just in terms of his design. I like the fact that Kagi, I don't call him Sayu, I call him Kagi Films, is voicing him is a great touch. You know, I miss Nolan North, but Kagi's doing a fine job as it is. And honestly, the last thing that I have to say about Deadpool and Marvel Rivals is that I don't know why Jeff is his team up. I really would have preferred a Deadpool and Wolverine team up. Or honestly, you could have gave him 3 different team ups with a duelist, a healer, and a tank, because he's all 3 roles. So like, Wolverine is one, Rogue is another, Jeff is another. I don't like Jeff. If you haven't noticed, I'm not a fan of Jeff. That's a whole different video, but there's ways to even make it a little bit better. I hope they don't automatically nerf him going forward. There's a lot of different ways to play him, a lot of different skill expression. I'm still trying to figure out how I play him and how to play him in ranked, because the next video is probably going to be, well, I don't want to spoil what the next video is, but just trust me, we're going to talk about ranked and competitive versus casual match and all that sort of stuff, right? Depending on the order that this comes out. But yeah, honestly, that's pretty much all I got to say about Deadpool Marvel Rivals. He's a great addition. I like his outfit. I would change. I don't like his alternates. I don't like his alternate costume. I would have preferred Deadpool in a Wolverine movie costume. I would have preferred, you know, his costume from the Ultimate Comics, the first one, not the second one. I would have preferred a couple different costumes, right? But be that as it may, you know, he's here. Like I said earlier, that's pretty much all I have to say on the subject, so let me know in the comments. Are you a fan of Deadpool? Which role are you playing him in? Do you want to play all 3 roles? Who do you want to see next in the game? With that being said, I will catch you all on the next video, and always remember, 1% today equals 100% tomorrow, and remember to turn your pain into power.